Alright, I'll drop that now. Honestly, I don't think I can literally be quiet for a whole review. I already have a bad enough history of that. If you remember my older videos, but yeah. So, anyways, I was pretty looking forward to this film, as some of you may know. I well, honestly, I'm like a huge fan of those first two Quiet Place movies. You know, I have rewatched them both, and yeah, I do really enjoy both of them. I think they're both great films in their own right. The first one especially. But yeah. So I was looking forward to this new one. Of course, with this one, it's a prequel set on day one of the alien apocalypse, and obviously we're focusing on a new set of characters. Um, so it was definitely going to be an interesting new take in the franchise, and obviously also John Krasinski is not directing this one. Of course, this one's being directed by another guy named Michael Sarnoski. But yeah. So, anyways, I was looking forward to seeing like an interesting new take in the franchise, and yeah, the trailers did look good enough. So I was fairly looking forward to this one. So I went to see it there like close to a week ago now, as of recording this, and having seen it for myself, what do I think? Well, I'll start off by saying this. Out of the three Quiet Place movies that we've gotten so far, I do think this one is definitely the weakest of the bunch so far, but with that being said, I do think it is overall a pretty good movie in its own right. Um, so, getting into my thoughts on this film, to start things off, I think the cinematography in this movie is actually really good. I mean, to be fair, that's not really much of a surprise, but yeah, like, I mean, with this one, obviously this film is set in New York, like as most apocalyptic movies are, but yeah, I do think, we definitely do get some very good shots of NYC. It does definitely do a good job at showing the scope of it, and yeah, honestly, I do think it is a very well shot movie. Definitely very pleasing to look at. I do think like all of these destruction scenes are done really well. So yeah, I would say that the cinematography is good. The editing in the film, I think, is quite good. Also, like, I do think it's a well edited movie. Like, I do like, the way the movie's edited at times. With a lot of the destruction scenes. But with that being said, the movie doesn't go like too over the top with it. Like, it does enough to kind of, show you a lot of the action going on and stuff. I do think there are some genuinely nice shots in the movie. So yeah, I think the editing in the film is pretty good. Um, as for the pace in this movie now, this film is about like 99 minutes long. It's not too long of a movie. Out of the three Quiet Place movies you've gone so far, this one is the longest of the three, but not really by a whole lot. To be fair, I think the movie overall does a solid enough job with the runtime. Like it doesn't feel like too long of a movie. I feel like the movie kind of goes by the story well enough, and that being said, I don't think the movie rushes too much. I think the movie kind of goes at a slow enough pace. Now with all that being said, I don't think the pacing was perfect. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I kind of feel like the movie could have been a bit longer, as I don't know, I kind of feel like with a slightly longer runtime you could have done better at establishing certain characters and plot points, but the pacing as it is overall solid enough. As for the sound and music in this film now, obviously the sound effects in the Quiet Place movies have, always been like one of its strongest points. The first movie actually got nominated for an Oscar for Best Sound Design. And yeah, I think that's pretty much prevalent here again. The movie does overall have very good sounds design. Like, I do think once again, like, the sounds of these creatures are genuinely creepy, and yeah, like, it does well in terms of other like sound effects at certain other points, and the movie does well enough during its quiet scenes. Like, sometimes when still something loud can happen, you are kind of fearing like for the characters' lives. Yeah, I think overall it is good sound design. I think the score in the movie is pretty solid. Like, for me, it probably has the weakest score out of the three movies. I don't think it plays the theme music from the first two films. Not that I have a problem. I'm honestly fine with that, given a different setting and different characters. But I don't think the score in this movie is really as good as the first two, but nonetheless, it's still overall a solid enough score. So I did think the movie did well enough in terms of the sound and music. Now getting on to the characters and the performances from the cast. Starting things off, we have the main protagonist of this movie, Sam. And I think Sam is overall a pretty solid protagonist. Like, it's established in the movie that, she is terminally ill, and she probably doesn't really have like that much time left. I like how the movie kind of shows that like she's not really like all that bothered about surviving. Like honestly, I thought it was done well for her character. And like in terms of the performance, I honestly think Lupita Ny'ongo did a really good performance here. I mean, that is to be expected because she is a great actress, but yeah, I thought she honestly did a great job here. Like, because for so much of the movie, she has to like communicate with her body and her expressions, and honestly, I think she does it really well. Yeah, I honestly did overall like Samanov as a protagonist, and I think the performance from Ny'ongo really helped elevate that. Um, we have the other protagonists in this movie then, Eric, and I think Eric is a good character as well. Like, he meets up with Sam when she's going through New York, and like yeah, it's basically the two of them meeting up and having to survive together. I thought Eric was a good character as well. And like I mean, it was interesting kind of seeing how he kind of comes across as a little nervous. Which is very understandable. He was a good character. I did like his chemistry with Sam in the movie. I liked how the movie didn't really try to make them into a whole romantic thing. They just kind of became friends over the film. Also, I think Joseph Quinn did a really good performance, just like Ny'ongo. Like, well, he does. Well, I mean, they do get points where they can talk, but a lot of their performance has to come down to like, again, their expressions, and I think Quinn also did a really good job with that. And not to mention, it is great seeing him getting more work after he did such a great job as Eddie Munson in Stranger Things season 4. Yeah, I did honestly really like Eric as a character. Now it's mainly the two of them, but we also have Sam's pet cat Frodo, and yeah, Frodo, he is a good cat. And also known as Sam and Frodo. Um, but yeah, Frodo, good cat man, a very good cat, and in fairness to him, even though he may have been a bit oblivious to everything around him, he still remained quiet for the film, which is very respectable. Yeah, I really liked this cast. Now, like, we don't have much else to talk about, it's mainly just the two main characters and also the cast. The supporting performances, we have Alex Wolff. He's okay for like the screen time that he gets, but I don't know, because I do think Alex Wolff's a pretty good actor. Like, I thought he was honestly really good in Hereditary and other horror, but I don't know, I feel like the movie honestly could have done more with him. And we do have one character from the other movies, and of course being djimon honsou's character from the second film, as reveals in this movie that his name is Henry. Yeah, I don't expect him to be in this that much either. Just like in part 2, he kind of is just an extended cameo. But for what limited screen time that he gets, I think he does do solid enough. So yeah, honestly, I think like the main two characters along with the cast, they were both good protagonists, and I think the two main performances from ny'ongo and Quinn were both very good and definitely helped to make this film more compelling to watch. So yeah, for what limited amount of characters and acting we got, it was genuinely really solid. So in terms of the plot of this film now, as I've mentioned, this film is a prequel to the first two movies being set on day one of the alien apocalypse, being set in New York and following different characters. It's definitely a very interesting concept for this movie to go in, and yeah, to be fair, I think the movie overall does a good enough job with this. The new characters are compelling to watch, and while you may have to kind of suspend your disbelief a bit with kind of some of their motivations. But to be fair, I think the film does a solid job of making it, believable enough, and the film does a good job kind of with its whole kind of apocalyptic setting, being NYC, a really loud city, then suddenly these creatures show up and now you just have to be silent. Yeah, the movie does a good job at, kind of making it, thrilling to watch, and, there are some pretty suspenseful scenes, and it has you worrying for what is going to happen to the characters. Yeah, it is genuinely, overall good enough with what the movie does with this now. I don't think it's perfect. Now with the Quiet Place movies, there are certain times during the films and those where you kind of do have to suspend your disbelief a bit, but this movie kind of does take it a little too far. I feel like it kind of seems like the whole city of NYC, it just starts to become silent very soon, after the aliens invade, and yeah, that can honestly be a bit hard to believe, to be fair. But nonetheless, the movie overall did a solid job with it. Again, it has you caring for the main characters, and overall, I thought it was compelling enough to watch the way the movie did it. So yeah, overall, I would say that the plot of the movie was quite good. Like, while the movie could have done maybe a bit better in certain aspects, overall for what it did, it was solid enough. And in terms of the narrative structure, the main plot of this film is, the main two characters, Eric and Sam, having to survive in New York City, with these aliens that have arrived, and I do think it's a good enough concept. The two fact, I think the film overall it does a solid job with it. Again, you're interested to see what's gonna happen to the main characters and how they'll survive. And we kind of do have some subplots. Like the main subplot is with Sam and kind of her whole character, kind of her backstory and motivations. And honestly, I think what we get of it is pretty solid. As I mentioned, you kind of do have to suspend your disbelief a little bit with certain things, but the movie does a good job at making it believable, and Sam is a genuinely compelling character. A lot of it mainly coming from ny'ongo's performance. I don't think we get as much depth with Eric, but he is overall a good character as well. With kind of how he comes along with Sam, and it's the two of them having to survive. And yeah, honestly, I think it's good enough, watching these two characters trying to survive. That's kind of mainly about it in terms of like the narrative structure now. Like, I mean, obviously we do see other survivors, but not too much. It mainly just focuses on Sam and Eric. And we do have, the death angels or alien creatures in here, swarming the whole city. And yeah, once again, they are like terrifying creatures. Like the effects for them are really good. That's to be expected. And yeah, they pretty much are, terrifying creatures. How you just feel like they're just unstoppable. Yeah, also I think the film does a good enough job at, kind of balancing everything out, making it feel even. So yeah, overall I would say that the narrative structure in this film is pretty good, and the way it manages to juggle everything together is done really well. So overall, A Quiet Place Day 1 is a solid entry into this franchise. I do think it's the weakest of the three so far, but it's overall a pretty good movie in its own right. With good cinematography, good sound design, good characters, there's good acting, there's a cute cast, there's some good effects for these monsters once again. Now, while the plot, it may not be as strong as the first two movies, as its own thing, it does well enough with the concept, has you caring about the main characters, and it's compelling to see what will happen. I think Michael Sarnoski, the director of this film, overall did a good job with the direction and making it feel like a good new entry in this series. So yeah, overall this is a solid entry. It's not the best, but it's a pretty good movie in its own right. If you liked the first two movies, I'd say you'll like this one as well. And like, if this movie sounds like what you'd be into, with kind of apocalyptic, like survival thrillers, I would say this is worth checking out. So with that, I am going to give A Quiet Place Day 1 a 7 out of 10. So with that, I'll see you guys next time, and bye.